Every time you ask ChatGPT or Gemini a question, somewhere on this planet, a building the size of an airport gets a little hotter, drinks a little more water, and pulls enough electricity to power an entire city block. And right now, Google just made a $15 billion bet that the best place for that building isn't America anymore. It's India or Hindustan. And the reason why says more about power, water, and who actually controls your data than anything you have read in the news. Hi, I'm Sirat, a lawyer turned cybersecurity specialist. With a background in law and tech, I analyze how technology, cybersecurity, and geopolitics collide to shape global power. So here's the tension at the center of this story. The United States built the entire AI industry. American money, American chips, American engineers. So why is Google now pouring its single largest AI investment outside the US into a coastal city in India that until last year had zero AI infrastructure at all? And what does it tell us about the actual price of the AI boom? A price that almost nobody outside the industry is being told about. Let's start with what we are actually talking about, because most people, myself included, at one point picture a data center as some glowing sci-fi supercomputer. It isn't. It's closer to an industrial warehouse packed with computer chips that never sleep. This traces back to the 1940s when the US Army built the first roomful of vacuum tubes just to calculate artillery trajectories. Over the decades, that room shrunk, multiplied, and eventually went online with the internet boom of the 90s, until companies like Amazon realized they could rent out server spaces to anyone with a credit card. That is what we now call the cloud. Your photos, your emails, your work files, none of it floats in the sky. It sits in a warehouse somewhere humming. Then came the moment everything changed. ChatGPT launched in November 2022 and hit 100 million users within 2 months, the fastest adoption of any product in human history. Here's what almost nobody talks about. A single ChatGPT query burns roughly 10 times more electricity than a normal Google search. Multiply that by billions of questions a day, and you start to understand why the entire industry is scrambling to build infrastructure at a scale the world has genuinely never seen. And this is where it gets ugly, at least in the United States. These new AI facilities aren't just bigger versions of old data centers. A modern AI server rack can weigh 6 times more than one from a decade ago, run hot enough to burn skin on contact, and needs constant liquid cooling just to survive. One large AI campus can drink up to 5 million gallons of water a day just for cooling. The American public grid was never built to absorb that kind of demand. In the states like Virginia, which has more data centers than almost anywhere on Earth, a new facility can now wait up to 7 years to get connected to the power grid. Local electricity bills climb. Residents near these sites report constant low-frequency vibration from the cooling towers and turbines, headaches, nausea, sleepless nights because their houses are physically shaking. Town halls got packed, lawsuits got filed, and tens of billions of dollars in projects got delayed or blocked by ordinary people saying, "Not in my backyard." So if you are Google and you need to build at pace no country has ever attempted, and the country that invented this technology is pushing back, what do? You look for somewhere the resistance is weaker. Let me know your thoughts on this matter in the comments after liking and subscribing to the channel. Enter Visakhapatnam, a coastal city in eastern India known for its naval base and shipyards, not its tech scene. In 2025, Google announced $15 billion to build its largest AI campus outside the United States right now. 601 acres with enough eventual capacity to draw a full gigawatt of power, roughly what it takes to run 800,000 homes at once. Why India specifically? 2 reasons rarely get enough attention. First, cost. Building a single megawatt of AI capacity in Vizag runs about 30% cheaper than in the US. The state government handed Google a quarter of market land price plus roughly $2.5 billion in subsidies. Then, in early 2026, India's federal government added a 20-year corporate tax exemption for foreign companies routing AI infrastructure through the country. zero tax until 2047. Second, this is the part with real legal teeth. India passed its own data protection law in 2023, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, giving New Delhi power to restrict how Indian user data crosses borders. With nearly 900 million internet users generating close to a fifth of the world's digital data, Google effectively faces a choice: build inside the country or risk losing the ability to process that data at all. Now, sit with this for a second. India built this law to protect its citizens' data from foreign control. Fair goal, but the machines physically holding that data still belongs to Google, an American company still legally reachable by American authorities under US Act law. So has data sovereignty actually been achieved here? Or has a foreign government simply been handed a very convenient business incentive to invest faster? What do you think about this? If this resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and let me know your ideas in the comments. For context, this exact tension who rarely controls data once it crosses the border is the same fight the European Union has had with Washington for over a decade. From the collapse of Privacy Shield to GDPR's strict rules on moving European data outside the bloc, the EU has actually gone the opposite direction lately, encouraging its own domestic AI gigafactories under the new EU AI Act specifically, so European data never has to leave European soil or rely on a foreign company's goodwill. Different continent, same underlying fight over who holds the keys. But here's where this stops being about clever tax law and starts being about people. India has 18% of the world's population and only 4% of its fresh water. It is one of the most water-stressed countries on the planet, and one of Google's 3 construction sites in Vizag sit less than 400 feet from a reservoir that supplies the city's drinking water. Google has never publicly disclosed where the millions of gallons a day it will need are actually coming from. Locals near the site already report regular power cuts before a single AI chip has gone live. The government promised nearly 190,000 jobs, but a facility like this essentially runs itself once it's built. Roughly 50 permanent jobs for a campus the size of several city blocks. Almost none of them are going to be the farmers whose land got cleared or the families living next to those reservoirs. And when a video documenting the impact on local communities went viral on Instagram, racking up 2.5 million views, the Indian government had it blocked within 3 days. In the US, angry residents at least had local government willing to fight beside them. In Vizag, every level of government had already decided this project was happening before residents knew it existed. So here's the uncomfortable takeaway. This was never really a story about India winning the AI race. It's a story about capital moving to where resistance is weakest. The US has courts, town halls, and a press that can actually slow a company down. In India, that friction barely exists, and that should worry you regarding of where you live, because the exact same playbook, cheap land, thin regulation, government pressure over public consent, gets used again the moment your own country's grit starts pushing back. The real question isn't who is winning the AI race, it is who gets asked before the bulldozers show up. So far, almost nobody does. If this kind of a story, the legal fine print behind the headlines, is exactly what you come here for, subscribe, because this channel exists to dig into exactly this. And I want to know what you think. Should countries be allowed to override local objections for the sake of winning the AI race? Or is that exactly the kind of unchecked power we should all be worried about? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one and provide my own responses. Have a nice day. See you in the next one. Bye.